Dan Ilman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 9 at Kentucky Downs on Sunday. It's the Juvenile Mile. $500,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field of some promising 2-year-old turf horses. Now, our morning line favorite, Mike, is still a maiden after 2 starts. That's the number 2 Aspenite, going out for Steve Asmussen. Ran against winners last time. I showed big speed, failed to stay. Now is going to have to try to stretch that speed to a mile.
Yeah, good news for that horse is he's got plenty of pedigree to handle more distance, Dan. This horse ran fine despite not winning in his turf debut last time against winners. I would, listen, maybe he'll be the favorite. He certainly should take money in here. I would maybe take this morning line with a little bit of a grain of salt. I don't think the race is really going to get bet this way overall.
There should be a good amount of speed in this race as we throw up our Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US believes the pace will be fast. Aspenite's going to be close to the pace. Billy the Greek tries turf for the first time. He's stretching out. Maybe he'll show a little bit of speed. Perhaps some other horses, though, Mike. Horses like the 6, Value Engineer, can get a bit closer this time around.
Yeah, Value Engineer showed much improved speed in his second start when they put blinkers on him. The horse down on the rail, Samba Lover, same thing, showed much improved speed second time out when they stretched him out in distance. The 4 in this race, Legal Titan, they have sort of back towards the pack. This horse has run 3 times already, the last 2 on turf. He showed speed in both of those races. So I don't know. I thought this pace was pretty tough to figure, but it could certainly be fast.
I thought the 1 Samba Lover used his career debut, a sprint race, as merely a prep to set him up for this one, going 2 turns, 7.5 furlongs, and he just had a sweet trip on the lead. They walked the half in 49.3, and Samba Lover is gone.
Strong in this race right from the start, though. They took charge of this race pretty early on, and he's just going away from this field with a really nice finish. I thought back in third, that's Value Engineer, who's also back in this race, and he improved quite a bit in his next start, but he had no chance with this horse. This horse was pretty impressive last time.
Aspenite made his debut at Saratoga, but got washed off of the turf. So he made his turf debut against winners in this race in late August at Kentucky Downs, going 6.5, and he was hearing his feet rattle early. He opens up a giant lead, turning into the long stretch at Kentucky Downs, and he still is in front, inside of the 8th pole, but he's going to get leg-weary racing on his left lead until very late, and he's going to get run down at the end.
Yeah, he couldn't quite see this thing out. He did improve in this race, though, Dan. I mean, this is a nice step forward for this horse. You can see even at this point, he just changed over because he's getting tired here in the last 16th of a mile, and he just can't really hold on here. But all in all, this is a pretty good performance. And as we already mentioned, he's got a lot of pedigree on the bottom to go longer distances on the grass. So I don't think I'd worry about him stretching out for this.
The 3, Tough Little Nut, is a son of Palace Malice, and he came out of his shell sprinting at Hawthorne in his career debut. And I like the way he won that race. He relaxed very early, and then he fired on home in the stretch. I always question the competition a little bit at Hawthorne, but I do respect these connections, like the fact Jose Ortiz takes them out.
Yeah, I have the same concerns you do about the competition. He may not have been facing much of a field there at Hawthorne. I just liked everything about the race that this horse ran in there. If nothing else, Dan, he doesn't really look like a sprinter to me, but once he got clear in the stretch, he really ran and took that race over very easily in the late stages. I think there might be more than meets the eye with this horse.
Certainly bred to appreciate a longer distance is the 3, Tough Little Nut. The 4, Legal Titans, just improved on turf. His first start on dirt wasn't very good, but he was going 4.5 at Keeneland, and it was a good learning experience. He graduated last time out in start number 3 in pace-pressing fashion, but it was another situation. The pace wasn't very fast, and maybe he took advantage of the way the race flow shaped up.
Right. I just don't like his 2 turf races. He ran fine in both of them. I just don't like them enough against this kind of a field where it feels like he's moving up in class significantly. And it's just going to be way harder for him, I think, to win a race like this one, Dan. It'll be a great price if you like him.
The 5, Rose Collector, was dismissed at 30-1 for his career debut at Monmouth for Kent Sweezy. It didn't look like a 30-1 shot, storming home in the stretch. Here's Rose Collector getting set to pounce on the leaders, and once he makes the lead, he is set sail for home.
Yeah, I really liked everything about this performance, too. Sort of off the pace, but he had to move around horses on the far turn of this race just to get clear, and then he just carried on with that run. He just kept going forward. He took over. He does not stop through the stretch. He just gives this field absolutely no chance behind him. Another horse, he went off at a huge price. I don't know how. He did not look like a 30-1 shot winning.
Value Engineer was beaten by Samba Lover when that horse had an experience edge. In his second start, he put on blinkers and he did this. Much improved early speed, much improved focus, much improved conditioning, and he's just opened up on this group, and they got no shot to catch him from here.
Yeah, he had this field scattered behind him as they came into the stretch. And he obviously improved here. He's still a little bit green. He's on his wrong lead. I don't know. I feel like he's still figuring things out, Dan. We should also point out that he was the only horse in this field who had a prior race. It's all first-time starters behind him. So it's hard to know, what kind of field he was beating there, but he certainly improved.
Billy the Greek, the number 7, is going to be making his turf debut. He ran in 2 off-turf races in New York to kick off his career. He's got some turf pedigree. I like the golden senses on the turf. He's out of a Kitten's Joy mare. He's likely going to show some tactical speed. He's not out of this, even with all the question marks of distance and surface surrounding him.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the female family of Bigger Picture, who was a really, really good turf horse, and a turf horse who wanted a distance to ground too. So I don't think you need to really worry about the surface switch or the stretch out with this horse. And he's run okay in his 2 dirt races. I mean, it's hard to me. It was hard to evaluate his debut that he just won, because that was a race where he may not have gotten the job. There was a big incident towards the wire there. One of the horses fell and he got the photo. So I'm not sure that he was actually going to win that race, but he did. And I don't really care about his second start in the Skidmore off the turf.
Blue Eyed George goes out for Michael McCarthy, a Preakness-winning trainer I have a lot of respect for, and this horse looked good in his debut. He cost a lot of money. Earlier this year, he's by Flame Away, a very promising young sire that has had some success on the turf, and in his debut, he kind of looked like an old pro, Mike.
I agree with that. I mean, this is a horse who got into enough trouble on the first turn of that race where I think some first-time starting 2-year-olds might have just thrown in the towel, but this horse did not throw in the towel. He actually made a nice run and won that race really easily. Might have run even better than it looks on paper, Dan. He's a super dangerous horse in here.
Good Bali made a strong late run in his career debut, 2 runs second sprinting, and then stretched out with no problems whatsoever at Ellis Park. I like that he showed improved early speed, but then there was another situation. The pace was slow. He was right up onto it, but this horse has a little bit of fight to him.
Yeah, I agree. I liked his second start too. I mean, his first start just looked like a total prep to me. He was very green in there. I don't think they really thought he was going to win going 5. That was the second start was the one they were probably aiming for. And he was good in there. I mean, he was pretty much hooked up with that runner-up for about, I don't know, half a mile, 3/8 of a mile. They dueled. This horse got the job done. He ran pretty well in that.
The 10 Gamblin' George finished off the board in his career debut sprinting at Colonial Downs. Maybe the distance was a bit sharp for him, so he gets more to work with here. He's also getting blinkers for the first time. He's going to have to do more.
He is. He's one of those horses who I think you could look at as sort of a wild card, though, at some kind of huge price in this race. I mean, he was super green early in that race and just basically lost contact with that field, but he actually made a run. He picked up a little ground around the turn. He kept coming through the stretch. He was really green. This horse ran better than it looks first time out.
The 11 is Moslil, debut winner for trainer Brad Cox. Did it going 2 turns. Going to have to deal with post 11 here, but this one showed some acceleration in that debut, Mike. He's got a little bit of a pedigree. You usually don't see Giroux and Cox at 30-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, no chance you get 30-1 on this horse in here. He ran really well first time out. He was very professional. He got a good trip, but he was very professional, and he finished that race off with a really good run. This horse is pretty good. There's no chance he's that kind of price.
Baytown Parfait is the number 12, another son of Flame Away, who did good work in his turf debut, albeit against maiden claimers. This is just a completely different stratosphere from a class standpoint.
Yeah, he's just really hard to make any kind of sensible case for, Dan, but we're talking about Kentucky Downs here. Anybody can win.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Kentucky Downs Juvenile Mile, race 9 on Sunday. You're going with Tough Little Nut. Nice close in the debut at Hawthorne, bred to appreciate extra distance.
I just thought there were so many horses that could win here, Dan. I just couldn't take one of the horses that I thought were going to be, sort of shorter prices in here. And I did think this horse could fall through the cracks a little bit. I really liked this debut.
I know Samba Lover got a candy trip on the lead last time out, but he really fired on in the stretch. I think he can rate a little bit, and I think that's going to be imperative because there does seem to be a bit of speed, 6-1 on the morning line. 3589 for Mike, 1265 for me. Kentucky Downs Juvenile Mile on Sunday. Good luck.